We will begin our meeting. This is the joint Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen meeting for capital budget for the coming year. So we have a number of presentations to get through. We have first up Public Works, then Recreation, Library, Board of Selectmen, along with Country Club of Woodbridge, and then we will call it an evening if we can get through all of that. I believe Warren is here. Warren, do you want to?
I am here. If everybody can hear me.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know how your packets are lined out, but the way mine is that basically it starts out with the truck reserve for Public Works. What I would like to do is, I think all of you got a copy of my breakdown sheet.
Yes.
That I use for the guidelines, which deviates a little bit from the standard format thing. It discloses a little bit more information is how the request is funded year by year. In this particular year, there's a request for $130,000 for trucks, which encompasses actually two different vehicles. There's a pickup truck that is involved with that, and there's also what we call a Mason truck. It's a smaller size dump truck than what we would normally use for plowing snow and sanding routes. We use that in different capacities where we don't need a large truck, but we have to go out and road patch, or we have to collect trash at town buildings, pick up random items around town. It's more of a universal vehicle without running the big truck on the road. We used to have one years ago, and when that failed, we did not replace it. So we're back to finding ourselves in need of a truck like that in our fleet, because we do have a multitude of trucks that the pickups, the smaller fleet, it is aging, and that's built into the 6-year plan. But this truck would most suit a replacement at this time. Year by year, you can see how it alternates. Next year it would be just a pickup. The following year, a large truck. I'm just going over how the budget's broken down, and I'm alternating back and forth between a small vehicle and a larger vehicle. And it just goes out like that. And the last year, we have a 10-wheeler, which takes care of the roads on the north end of town, and that request is pushed out at the end of the 6 years. Does anyone have any questions about trucks?
I don't have a question about trucks, but I received a phone call from Joe Crisco. I don't know if he's trying to get in. I didn't answer it. I just noticed he called my cell phone. He's trying to ring in. Sorry to interrupt, Warren.
No, not a problem. You wouldn't want to leave Joe out.
Oh.
Can you connect with him?
Karen, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Who's the call-in? Is it Joe Crisco or Joe Dye?
I don't know. Joe Crisco just tried to call me.
Oh, there's two now.
Okay, that's probably.
No, that's Jeanette.
Okay.
Hello, can you guys hear me? It's Joe Dye.
Okay, Joe, thank you.
Yep. Hey, Joe, welcome.
Joe said he's got the wrong number or something. I'm just looking at his, oh God, this is so stressful here. Let's see. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just trying to help him out. Hold on. Welcome to the world of, okay. Dialed the number that I have here for this meeting, and they said it's the wrong number. Can you resend him the number, Karen? Please? Or I could write it to should I just call him?
If you want to.
Okay. He's on the phone. Okay. I give up. I tried.
I can email it to him right now.
Sorry. Thanks, Warren. Keep going. I'm so sorry.
Okay, well, in conjunction, just to let everybody know that we did take receipt of 2 trucks that were in the build. They were plow trucks. We were waiting. We had ordered one a year apart, but the build was done simultaneous. We did take receipt of the 2 new trucks today. And the 2 trucks that were supposed to be phased out as spares, as I was getting home last night, the mechanic sent me a text with some pictures that one of the spares is not going to be drivable. And it's probably going to be uneconomical to repair due to corrosion and breakage of the covering that goes over the back of the engine and into the transmission. And it's pretty involved. So basically the transmission and engine would have to be pulled out of the truck, being an older truck, trying to get components and stuff. So we'll look into it to see if we can get used parts, but it's a very involved repair. And given the time of year and the things confronting us, I don't think that we're going to get involved until probably next spring, if anything. But that truck is sidelined. So we only have 1 spare, even though we took receipt of the 2 new ones. And I'll ask again if anybody does have a question about the breakdown of the truck reserve request. If no, then I'll move on to the equipment. This again is broken down, and if you look at my breakdown narrative, it's a reserve request to build up to replace equipment over a series of years. And we have a couple pieces in there, and it's basically we have things that are both used in the shop. We have a payloader, a boom mower, backhoe. There's some testing equipment, a tire machine. The tire machine that we do have cannot break down it's good for car tires and things like that, but because of our equipment, it's got thicker wall, it's more plies to the tire, and the tire machine can't break those tires down. So we're looking to upgrade that. That was a request from the mechanics this year. The thing is to build a reserve over the next several years to replace the backhoe, the payloader, and the boom mower. They are aging pieces of equipment, and we do have, right now they're operational, and we're going to keep using them, but there are situations we don't want to get caught in a particular year where we're going to get hit with a very heavy request. And if we do have a breakdown and we need apparatus, we'll be forced to lease or rent equipment until we can get a replacement. But these are items that we depend on heavily throughout the course of the year. And so the request, without hitting the budget too hard in any given year, is to build a reserve for the replacement of those pieces of equipment. And you can see on my narrative in the breakdown how I propose to fund it by piece of equipment, but the line-by-line request in any given year is an accumulation of those expenses accruing. But in any given year, you can see on the standard form what my request would be for that particular year. Does anyone have any questions pertaining to equipment? I guess not, so I'll move on. The road reserve for our program, it's a standard request. Pavement is a revolving door, and as much as we do, there's as much behind us that's in need of replacement. This year, we got fortunate because of the methods we use to approach pavement replacement. We actually got a little bit more done than what we had originally anticipated based on the budget allocation. But my request is taking into, it's not overly aggressive, but it's aggressive enough to keep up with the degradation of pavement. And the more we can do on any given year, because I've still got close to 10 miles of road in town that do not have an asphalt surface. And the goal is to try to get what is yearly maintenance done in a cycle. and get those roads that are not paved with asphalt, get them into the program. You know, we do use different approaches to maximize our dollar expenditures, and you can look at this and it's pretty straightforward. Don't necessarily go by miles for any budget allocation, because the methods that we use, it could cost, if, for instance, if we full depth reclaim a road, we're basically replacing that road in 2 depths. So we're doing that road twice. So your dollars don't go as far. But if you have a surface, either an overlay, or which we did use this year, or a mill and overlay, your dollars stretch further. And we have a backlog of roads. There's no getting away from that. Does anybody have any questions about roads? Surface replacement. It doesn't come into play with any base replacement. It doesn't come into any drainage modifications. It's just strictly pavement. So I hope that everybody, when they look at the numbers that I'm presenting, that they understand what this request is about.
Okay, thank you, Warren.
Does anybody else have any questions on roads?
So, Warren, I want to go back to your equipment reserve and your truck reserve, if you don't mind. I just want to make sure that I understand what you've done in terms of spreading out your requests over a number of years.
You're talking about the breakdown sheet?
Yes.
What are you talking about? Yeah. I just want to know where.
The breakdown sheet, which was really very, very helpful. I mean, it really provided a lot more detail. So, for instance, with the backhoe that you requested, you put in $25,000 in 21-22, and then $75,000 in 22-23. So you would be purchasing this backhoe in 22-23. Is that it?
Yes, but you have to keep in mind, if the funding gets approved, because numbers change when you actually go to purchase. And then when we go to take delivery, we place an order, you got to add another year onto that request for deliverable.
Okay, so you would want to order it then this coming year if you got approved for the funding.
Well, if we got the funding in the backhoe, it would be going out 2 years from now. We'd have enough money to make the purchase 2 years from now based on my request.
I see. Okay, that's what.
So we're taking a smaller allocation and building the fund for each piece of equipment until we reach an acquirable amount.
Okay.
Which for the backhoe, for example, it's be in 23.
Right.
Would be the finalization if the funding got approved. But it might be not until 24 before we took receivership of a machine, because we have to go through the bidding process, see if the numbers are right, and we may get surprised. Costs of machinery would probably escalate from my budget number, but hopefully I have enough in there to cover that request.
Okay. And so if I took a look at the boom mower, where you put 50,000, 50,000, 50,000. That boom mower costs 150,000?
That or maybe more. That's going on like today's prices.
Okay.
And our boom mower, what we're currently it's an aging piece of equipment that we've had this past year. We spent more downtime trying to acquire parts for it. And the parts, they're either out of state, they're not available anymore, and you kind of have to bypass and make do with what you got. And so we've been nursing that piece of equipment along, and some of the things that were brought to our attention during the maintenance of the equipment, trying to acquire the parts, if it sits in during the timely part of use of the machine, and it sits in the shop for 6 months when the need is out on the road, but so we can't service the municipality And I think Beth and Tony can attest to the phone calls when we have to do roadside mowing.
Sure. No, I
And-
understand.
And anybody that drives around the town will see, the state didn't serve us that well this year. We were actually out mowing some state highways with the machine.
Right.
But when it's broken down and we can't put it on the road, we have no ability to service the municipality.
Absolutely. Okay. And one last question about the pickup trucks.
Yes,
So there's $40,000 in 3 different years.
yes.
Is that for a different truck each year?
It'd be replacing a different truck in the existing fleet that would be
Okay.
in need of replacement. Yes,
Okay. So that's an individual purchase each one of those years.
correct.
Okay. And the Mason dump truck is all in this next year's request, that
Right.
90,000. And
This
so that
year's
is
request,
correct?
yes, it's two vehicles this year.
Okay.
It's the Mason truck and a pickup combined request.
Great. Okay. Now I got it. Thank you so much.
Anything else? Okay.
Anyone else have questions for Warren?
The last was bridge and waterway reserve, and that's pretty straightforward every year. I don't know if anybody has any questions pertaining to that.
Well,
No.
why don't you give us a rundown on exactly what that is, Warren?
Okay, bridge and waterways, it's any cross culvert or as it's designated bridge. If we have to, let's say, it won't replace a bridge, but if we have engineering costs that would be incurred on any bridge or waterway crossing, a lot of these waterway crossings, they're culverts, they're not bridges, but they're piping that goes under the road. So if you have to excavate the road and replace that conduit to transfer water from one side of the road to the other, there is a little bit of a cushion in that request. But we also do waterway maintenance. If we have scouring and erosion, and we can improve our waterways and cut down on siltation and stuff like that, that's what those funds are used for.
Okay. And okay. Thank you, Warren.
Okay. And the next I guess on our agenda is waste management. Is everybody there?
Yes, we're here.
Okay. It's pretty straightforward with them. Basically, in the 6-year plan, there's funding to upgrade 2 of the compactors, which has always been a long-standing request, and we've kind of deferred that from year to year, and part of it was due to the installation of the scale, and we've done maintenance to nurse the compactors along, but we don't want to get caught where there's no compactor running up there, so an upgrade is inevitable. So that's part of the capital request, and the other part is container replacement. And that's in the second page request, or third page, depending on how you're looking at the documents. Is there any questions about waste management?
Warren,
Yep.
repairs done on either of the compactors?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're between building maintenance, Brad, Bobby, and our mechanic, working up there. We might have, let's say, an outage. It's let's say that through the hydraulic system that compresses the garbage into the container.
Yeah.
Or the container itself, we have problems. Our guy that works up there, Craig, he's also a former mechanic here. He's been doing a lot of reparations to the containers up there to extend the life of the containers. There's a lot of pressure put on those containers. They're only latched by the sides, but the containers, there's tons of pressure being pushed to compress the garbage in the containers. And just bouncing them around, transferring them from here to the recycling place or whatever, they get beat up. But the operational side of the compactor itself, it's both electrical, hydraulic, and there's certain elements of that aging And then you have I'll call it the superstructure of the compactor itself, because it's metal and everything goes into that funnel type of thing, so where it can be compressed into the container. Those are in need. And the first one was put in 94, the other one was put in 96, and we've been nursing them along. And so it hasn't been without problems.
Sure.
But we don't want to get caught where we can't compact our garbage, because it'll put us in a very vulnerable situation. The rest of the situation up there is they're open top cans, and that's pretty obvious when we need to replace a container there.
Okay, thank you very much, Warren.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I think I'm done.
Thank you very much, Warren.
Okay, have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, Warren. Bye.
Good night.
Take care.
Take care.
So next up, we have recreation. Are we on from recreation?
Yep, I'm here. This is Jim. John will be right here in a couple of seconds. We're here.
Okay.
That's a pretty snappy mask you have there, Jim.
I want all the protection I can get.
Good for you.
Thank you. We're just waiting, John, one moment. He'll be right there, he says.
Karen, did Joe?
So,
I got on.
okay, thanks, Joe.
All right, here he is.
Hello,
Hey,
here
John.
I is.
Hey, John.
Hi. Should I start?
Yes, please. Go ahead. Yes, please.
Thank you. Okay, our first page, we have the shuffleboard courts. We have one set up over at the library. It's all set up. It's been going, and we've been saving the other one. And since the pandemic, we haven't been able to put it down, so we'll just wait on that. And then the other thing that we have available is $8,400 for the new liner for the a backup liner for the skating rink. The skating rink isn't up yet, but we are going to put it up when Adam gets back. We're going to have it locked, and may or may not use it depending on what phase we're in. By the governor, we have to just wait and see. So now we go to year 22. This is important one, a very important one, because this is the outdoor court PVC boundary for volleyball. We have been using volleyball. We've had the outdoor volleyball court during the entire pandemic. It's the only space we have over at the country club tennis courts. And this keeps the sand from washing out, because every time it washes out, we can't use it. We have to wait for Adam and his crew to come over. If they're short-handed, we just have to wait and shut the court down. But this PVC pipe I saw in New Jersey, they put it all around the outside. It's a one-time deal. You put it around the outside of the court, and then it's all set, ready to go for the whole year, and it doesn't wash out. And it's protecting the court, and we need that court for next year, because I think we're going to have to be using outdoor facilities as much as we can. So we would need that.
We had many permits this year for using the court. Very
Yeah.
busy.
Everything we do is by permit now, and so we can do the tracing in case something happens, but we're all set. The next one is gymnastics equipment. This is a standard thing that we do. 2023. This is an ongoing replacement gymnastics equipment that we have during thing. It's any one of the oldest pieces of equipment. Equipment is only good for anywhere from 3 to 5 years. We're on 7 and 8 years with most of our equipment, and then we've been replacing them one at a time, and we've been doing a good job with that. But indoor facilities are closed right now till January 19th by the governor, and we'll see what happens there. But that would be a replacement of a piece of equipment there. You go to 2024, the fitness trails over at the Alleghi property are in tremendous use. At the Fitzgerald property, the walking trails and everything, and all the workout stations. I've been there almost every day. I check like this. I'm glad to say that about 98% of the time, everybody has their mask on. Everybody's using it. All the different stations are being used. It's a very, very well-used park. And that's a piece of equipment that has been slowly, it gets older. It's out there in the weather 24/7, 365 days a year. So it's pretty old. So we just figured we could replace it. The next one, 2023, we have two. One's a treadmill replacement in 2023, and in 2026 is an elliptical machine. These are machines that would be used in the fitness center. And there are no more parts. There are no more parts for the treadmill station. The treadmill, we talked to the company, Rob Kenyon, our director. He's been in contact with the company and they said they're done. They're out of parts, they're out of everything. There's nothing in storage. So if anything breaks down, we just have to throw it out because there's no way to fix it. So we're looking for new pieces of equipment in 2023 and a replacement piece for the ellipticals, which are in pretty good shape. And we can get parts for them if we need them, 2026. And they're about 5 years old. So they're near the end of their life cycle. 2024, this is a tent. Recreation has put in for a tent. I wish we had it now. And we could set up outside and we could do outside programs and everything. The library borrowed our tents over at the library to do outside programs. But those are just the regular small tents, and the storm took them out, and we put up a second set. And storm took them out again because they're not made for that kind of thing. But now we know whenever there's an impending storm, we've got to drop them to the ground if they're going to borrow them and use them like that. But recreation, as we always do, we take the broken parts from A and B and put it together with C and D, and we make an F. We make a new tent. So we have that. So we're not going to lose anything on that. We'll gain back out of the 2 tents that were destroyed. We'll gain back one of them. The next one is 2025 basketball courts.
John,
Yes.
this is Beth. Hi there.
Hi.
I have an echo. I don't know why, but I have a very quick question. A large tent. Is the country club tent available?
We would love to have the country club tent. We've been talking with the guy who put the tent up like this. We've been asking him to give us a quote on doing it like this, but they're very hesitant because he doesn't want to give us, I believe it doesn't want to give us a quote because the town of Woodbridge just gets a quote and then doesn't do anything about it. And these guys get really pissed off and they don't want to talk to you. When you go and ask somebody to do you a favor, something like this, and it's a big important thing, and then you don't do anything about it, you tell them, no, we're not doing it. You come back again and say, hey, look, we need a quote. You know, they don't want to get back to you. We've been calling and texting. So, but that's a good tent. That's a really good tent. And I don't think we need a full slab like you have at the country club. I mean, that's a beautiful slab at the country club. But you could put, underneath each post, you could put a slab. If you don't have a full slab, it could be the regular ground. You know, we could put like rock down or something down, something easy down that we could do and work on like this. And I thought a great place for that tent would be at the Alleghi property, where we were first going to put the dog park. Okay, I wasn't looking at the camera; I was looking at the speaker because that's where your voice comes from. At the Alleghi property, next to the parking lot, you wouldn't see it from the road. All winter, when the trees are all in blossom and bloom, you wouldn't see anything at all. The tent would be up. In the wintertime, we would take the tent down and just be a frame. You wouldn't see that. You wouldn't see that from the road. I think that would be a beautiful spot for to put that tent up, and that would solve all our problems. We wouldn't need to buy this if we could do that. But that's a savings.
Where is that tent being stored now?
It's at the country club inside the building.
Oh, okay.
That's where it was last time I saw it.
I mean, I think that's definitely something to pursue.
Yeah, that would be really good. We'd be reusing a perfectly beautiful frame that we don't have to buy. If we had to buy a new canvas, we just get a new canvas, and that'd be a perfect spot to put it. We can do all kinds of. We can even have summer camp there. Like we had summer camp there this summer, but a mini summer camp because we only had the little tiny gazebo at the basketball court. That's all we had. That Pease Road, the one on Pease Road property. But if you put that there, well, that'd be, we could use that for a lot of different programs.
Yeah, if I recall, it had sort of side windows that came up and down and
Yep, it was like a beautiful tent. It had windows on the sides. It had everything in there to stop the wind. So on a wet day or rainy day, you can still use it. You can still use it. That's an excellent.
So maybe that's something that the Recreation Commission could weigh in on also. Okay.
Absolutely. Yep. We would do that.
thank you.
Okay. The next one is basketball courts. We have basketball courts at the Alleghi property, but we keep them at 8 feet because of the little kids, because they're not made for adults, to play there, because it's right next to the playground. And then a lot of times we put them back up because we had a tremendous amount of play there. It was opened all the way in the fall. We had a supervisor there watching to make sure that the language was correct, that the players were playing, that everybody was distancing and doing everything, and it was held pretty good. But if you let them be there by themselves, it didn't work out. So we did have somebody, a supervisor, there every night, and it worked out good. But I think we have no basketball court at West River Field. It's a beautiful spot. We had a basketball court there. That one was built within 12 feet of the out of bounds line for the baseball field, which is illegal. You need at least 15 or 20 feet. So when a player comes to the foul line, it starts to go out of bounds, he can still go out of bounds. Here, he would take one step out of bounds and it'd be on a basketball court. So for safety reasons, the towns had it removed, and I agree with it. That had to be removed. But it should have been replaced. We can find a spot down there. We have a lot of room. We can put in a basketball court down there and an outdoor court. And that court was there for years that we used it before they put in that extra field on the side. So that's one of the things I would like to do at West River Field.
John, are you saying it's the only full court basketball court we have?
Well, we have two more. We have two at Beecher North School. And at Beecher North School, you're not allowed on the property during school days.
No, but
so for 10 months of the year, you cannot.
Full court?
Beecher Road North has two full-size courts by the tennis. They have an extra court outside the tennis by the playground. And those three courts are not used Monday through Friday, 10 months of the year, because the school is in session. And you cannot go on there until nobody's allowed, no adults are allowed on the school grounds until after 6 o'clock, because they have an extended day. So you can rule those out for 10 months. And for the other 2 months, they're wide open for everybody to play on. But then again, they're tennis courts, and people sign up for tennis and take a permit out to play tennis. And if you're going to play basketball, you can't put out any tennis permits because they need both courts, because the basketball courts go in the opposite direction of the tennis courts. So I was looking for a facility to replace the facility that was taken away. The other facility was in the parking lot that we had two basketball courts in the parking lot of the library by Center School Gym. There were two right there. They were taken down to build a parking lot. It's better to have a parking lot and people parking cars than to have kids running around playing and exercising on playgrounds. But that's what it is. The library needed it. They got it. They needed the parking. That's a well thing. There's nothing you can do about it. It has to have it. You have to have the parking for both the gym and that. So now we need to look for something. And I think the only space we have right now is West River Field. And I think we could put a nice court down there. One, maybe two, but at least one. And have the court that was there taken out, put back in. And then 2027, I think Dwight Rowland's boys were only 3 and 5 years old when we started this project. They're now chief of the fire department, and one's it works for Turner Construction, and he lives out in Guilford. They have grandkids. Nobody has seen a 90-foot diamond in the town of Woodbridge. And the high school has become very determined in us using their facility. They're in the year. They have strict rules and regulations for the CIAC on when the field can and can't be used. Most of the schools around the area don't make the playoffs, so they're done, in May, early May, but not Amity High School. They put out a tremendous program. Mr. Coppola puts out a tremendous program, and they're always in the playoffs. So they're always playing during the season. They go right to the end of the school year. They're always having a chance, and we're not allowed on the fields. And then have a rule about the temperature. If the temperature exceeds a certain temperature for 3 days in a row, you can't use the field. And we're not allowed to maintain it or do any maintenance on it at all or anything. And in the summertime, they cut their staff back and they don't do any maintenance. So I remember one year we went up and mowed the infield, and they filed a grievance against us and won. I don't know how they won. We did all the work, and they got a grievance, and they got 2 supervisors, 2 mowers, 2 buddy calls, and they didn't do anything. And they all got paid. But that's what the laws are made for. So we don't have anything we can take care of. We can present. We can have a program. I know the Woodbridge Fathers Baseball League, they put on a tremendous program for kids growing up. And then they get big enough and they're just about ready to play. And we got some great players. All right, stay home. Got no place to go. So go to Orange, go to Bethany. Bethany has a beautiful field. 2 of them, one at the junior high school and the one in Bethany on off of Amity Road, which is Munson Field, which is unbelievably kept. So the programs are there, but we don't do anything for the kids in the town of Woodbridge. We have to go out and go somewhere else to play. So I thought this is down in 2027. My grandson's 12 years old. He wasn't even born when we started this. My kids were still in high school. So we need to step up to the plate. The stepchild is at the point where we're getting tired of being the stepchild and always having the finance department and everybody say, well, we'll just cut from rec, we'll cut from this. And we fall yards behind. We fall behind on everything, just like Russ Stoddard was in there. Mr. Stoddard did a great job down at the center field, Rice's Pond. They came in with a bulldozer. It was all free by the government. They came in, they plowed it all out and everything. And the next step was to put up, 100,000 or 50,000, whatever it is, I'm not sure. Put back the dam that was there. Screw that. We're not putting it up. We're not going to do it. That pond held tiger trout, which is the most rarest trout in Connecticut. And it was the most beautiful place. Recreation had 2 boats there. We had safety, boating safety, everything. That went down the drain because the town wanted to save money. So what did you save? You saved nothing. You saved nothing when it comes to the kids of the town of Woodbridge, but you saved a couple of dollars in your pocket, and the pond is gone. It's all grown in, and all you have is a beautiful gazebo there, or you can sit there and watch and look at the trees. But that was a gorgeous, gorgeous pond that should have been taken care of. The town should have put the money up. It's things like that upset me as a recreation director. And this year I decided that I always sit here quietly and don't say anything, but this year I'm going to put it on the line. I'm going to let you guys know how I feel, that we need to step up to recreation. We do, and work hard and everything we can. We recycle paper. We do everything we can to save $1 here, $1 there, this and that. And then when it comes time for the budget, cut recreation another 10%. How do we do that? Cut programs? Stop doing things for kids? We need to do more for our children. We need to get out there and take care of our children. We need to do more than what we're doing, and that's what I feel. And we can't be hand-strapped. When I'm already putting together and working hard on my capital budget, operating budget, and the total going up is $43,000 so far. And that's a minimum of doing anything like this and cutting back. And we're always trying to look at how can we do it? How can we run it better? What can we run for programs? What can we do? And we need the support of the town to help us and not keep cutting us and cutting us and cutting us. So I made my pitch. There it is. Any questions?
So, John, I do have a question going back to the volleyball courts.
Yes.
You mentioned the need for a second court.
Yes.
But I don't see any dollars associated with that.
Because we would build the second court the same way we built the first court, by just going in on one of the other tennis courts, dropping the sand in, putting up the nets. It's a no-brain, no-cost thing. It would be like this court is now. And then down the road, if it's successful, we put the boundaries around it. We put a little money into it like this, but right now we could do it for nothing. And I figured that's the way we start. We start little and build.
Okay, thank
And then
you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any more questions for John? All right, thank you, John.
Thank you.
So next up, we have library. Do we have library on?
Oh, hi. Yeah, I'm here. I'm having some trouble with my camera, but hopefully at least you can all hear me.
Yeah, Jeanette needs to unmute.
Sorry.
I saw your mouth moving, but I couldn't.
Yeah, I just said Eric was having trouble with his video.
Yeah, I'm not sure why this has never happened before, but of course it happens right now.
It's okay. We can hear you. That's fine.
Yeah.
We've got to go.
So our main request is for fiscal year 2022 is $30,000 for new carpeting for our main adult stacks. That's in the back of the lower level of the library where we have the bulk of our adult collection. It's about 40,000 books actually sit back there. It's about 2,000 square feet. It's original carpeting from when the building was built in 2000. The carpeting is getting pretty worn, dirty, and in a couple areas it's actually torn. Commercial carpeting generally lasts about 15 years at maximum, and this has been over 20. It'll be 22 by the time we replace it, and we've already replaced all of the other significant areas of the library. Between 2011 and 2016, we replaced the rest of the lower level, the children's department, and the meeting room, and the Woodbridge room. So this was originally budgeted in the capital budget for fiscal year 2019. So we have pushed it back a few years already. This will be, it was supposed to happen 3 years ago. We do think it finally does need to happen. It does, again, just looks bad and kind of poorly reflects on the library. And the cost of $30,000 is a little inflated from what you might expect for 2,000 square feet because it does involve moving of the stacks, each of which weighs many tons. And so it does require some professional assistance to move all the 40,000 books and still get all the carpeting down. And that's really it for that. Any questions? And we also do have for fiscal year 23, our request for replacement chairs, which are all original to the library as well. So they're 20 years old, will be 23 or 24-year-old armchairs, which are frankly a little gross at this point. So we're hoping to replace them at some point in the coming years. But that is not up for next year. Any questions? Or
I think that's it, Eric. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about the camera. I'll try to figure it out. I don't know.
You did just fine, Eric. And Jeanette,
Yeah, you did very well, Eric. Thank you.
Okay.
You too. Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody. Thanks.
So next we have Board of Selectmen and the Country Club of Woodbridge. Tony, are you doing this?
Yes. I'm going to take the Board of Selectmen. The first project is for the Board of Selectmen is the Town Center Sidewalk Plan. This is actually a plan that was presented to the Board of Selectmen, which we applied for a grant. So the grant is just a little bit about the project first. The project provides a sidewalk from Amity down to the library and across in front of the library and connects all the town sidewalks with stamped concrete, just like the sidewalk in front of the center building. It provides also lighting, decorative lighting in the center area by the library, and does sort of light it up a little more. And this is we had an engineering firm help us with some pricing and some DOT estimated pricing, and so that's what that project is. And we've applied for a grant. We hope to hear by, I believe, January. So if we do not get the grant, then you could decide accordingly whether to fund it through other means or just to modify it.
We might have to postpone at this point. It'll just be the grant.
What is the amount of the grant that we applied for?
The grant is for more than that. It's for, I don't know the exact amount, Sandy, but I know it's more than this grant. It may be closer to 500,000 because it includes also the wayfinding,
The complete streets?
yes, complete streets. Thank you. That's my tongue. It's the complete streets portion that is not part of this grant. This is just the sidewalk part of that project.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
What is the timeline for the grant?
The grant is, we should hear for the grant. We applied in early November and we hope to hear in January.
And that's a state grant, Tony?
It's a state grant, correct. It's the Complete Streets program, Sandy indicated, and it's to help promote, using sidewalks and bicycles and other ways to, besides cars, to be able to get around our street.
I think it'll be, if we can get the grant, it'll be lovely and a nice addition to the whole town center. And should the community center go forward at the old firehouse, it would just be a complete, we love a complete street and a complete town center. It would really make a difference, but obviously grant dollars will make a big difference. So
right,
we'll keep posted.
Hopeful, we're very hopeful.
Yep.
The second, sorry, go ahead.
If the grant money does not come through, I love this project. I think it's so important. But would it go in the capital budget?
It could. You could, or you could do a portion of it. If you just want to do, say, the sidewalk from, I know the sidewalk from Amity to the town center, you could do that portion. If you know, or you, you could just take a portion of it if for some reason you don't get the grant.
So this is a good placeholder, and we have various options.
Correct. That's why we put it in there, so we have various options.
We won't forget, because it will be beautiful if we can do it.
The second project is, and it's been in the capital budget for a few years now, and we've delayed it for a few years, is to complete the wayfinding signs that were designed a few years back. And this would start with the wayfinding signs in the center of town. And then as it goes out in each year throughout different areas of town to provide more of a wayfinding, more signage for people that drive into Woodbridge. And so that's the wayfinding program that we've discussed many times. And the last project is in the Country Club of Woodbridge, and that's the project that we've had done for a few years now, and it's the environmental remediation on the property that has to be at some point done, but it's not an immediate time frame, and so we put that out to next year.
So I have a question, Tony, about that. Doesn't it ultimately depend upon how the specific areas are used where we know there needs to be environmental remediation?
That's correct. So the usage depends on the type of remediation that you have to do and to the extent that you have to do it. So,
or vice versa.
Right. Correct.
Okay, so that based on what you decide to use, you may not need to do any remediation.
For instance, if you put a school, there's different, requirements than if you have it as, open, let it go just to its natural state or whatever. So it depends on what you use it for. That's correct. Which is why we haven't acted on it.
Right. So one other question about the wayfinding. So are those the original estimates from the project, or are these updated?
These are they're updated. That's he's updated them, and actually has the original project had we were able to replace some of the materials with some newer durable materials that are actually cost less. So, and I think she's also looking for some sponsors for some of the signs so that they're, that we pay half.
Great idea. Thank you, Tony.
Okay.
Yeah, if anyone knows any businesses that might be interested in purchasing a sign with their name on, that would help.
Yeah.
Keep trying to talk about that.
Economic Development Commission.
I know they're trying. It's just everybody got sidetracked with the coronavirus, and but we're going to get there.
Okay, that's it.
That's it.
Yep.
Okay.
We have a few departments that we decided to have them present in the operating budget, and that's the like human services and parks department. Right. Adam happens to be out of not available, so we said he can present in the operating budget.
Okay.
Okay.
So we look forward to it. I think that's it for this meeting, everybody. Thank you for attending. Matt sends his regards. He's had a family emergency and was not able to attend. I'll see you guys at the next one.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Paul.
Bye now.
Bye.